Yo, what's up, hungry people? AJ and I are here doing a reaction video for you guys. Like I said before, I really love doing reaction videos, and it's awesome to have AJ here reacting with me. Now we can have a much better perspective and we can really kill it. AJ, what's cracking, dude?
What's up, MP? I'm ready to fucking react to this video. Let's do
Love
it.
it, dude. Love it. I really like the real truth about health videos because I feel like they make it seem like everything they say is 100% true and right. And it's like their way or the highway. But
What I love about it is they actually get into the nuance of differences between what the plant-based doctors say, and it's headed by, you know, supported and what am I looking for? Sponsored by people
yeah.
like Brian Clement and Hippocrates,
Mm-hmm.
and we have this, mixing pod of different specialists, all the way from the cooked ones, the McDougalers, the
Right.
clappers, True North people, all that stuff, and it basically the raw people, and they bring them all together and answer their perspectives, or they ask them their perspectives on different common questions that
Mm-hmm.
we, the audience, have. So I think it's just a really special thing they do.
For sure. And I think it's beautiful too because you can just take that, you can take everything they say and you can sort of formulate your own opinion on it and use it in your real life and test stuff out, try it out, see what works for you. And I think that's what's so great. So don't be surprised when you see more of us, more of AJ and I reacting to the real truth about health videos. Today, this one's called "What's the Downside to Eating a Little Bit of Animal Products?" It was about 2 years ago. So a lot of these opinions and what they say could change to like, I mean, today since this was a bit while ago, but I still feel like most of the perspectives are probably pretty similar, about the same. So we started the video a little later, because what this guy had to say beforehand was kind of just annoying. But anyways, let's get to it.
Little chicken, why not moderation? Like, why not like chicken, once a week, fish twice a week, only eat eggs on the weekend? Like, why can't these people, what's the downside? What's the...
It's so funny hearing Clement laugh there.
He's a badass, dude. I love Clement.
He is.
What's the downside to having
right?
some animal products?
Well, one downside is premature death and disability. So the consequence
See,
of
is that true though?
Dude, Goldhammer's the legend too, though. Like, I love people that are like, they have their stance and they stick to it. Like, I think it's badass.
Right. He's
Even if it's a little ridiculous, like, it's disagreeableness at its finest.
Right. I love it.
eating an animal-rich diet is that people have much higher risk, particularly for conditions like heart attack and stroke. So they find themselves unable to talk or move, lying in a nursing home bed, waiting for somebody to change their diaper for the last 2 decades of their life. And oftentimes it'll be you that's being asked to change their diaper, so it's probably a good idea to try to encourage them to minimize the use of animal foods.
See, but my feeling with that though is that, like, is it really the animal foods or is it all the other bullshit that's in the American diet? Like, I don't know. Or is it like the combination of everything together and everything, like, one exasperates the other,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think animal products definitely have a huge role to play in that, or they can. But when we look at animal products too, a lot of the ones that are being consumed are the most processed ones, full of chemicals and everything like that.
Right. Like processed meats
but animals have their downside. Like, if you're someone with super high blood pressure and you're overweight and you're blah 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 blah, if you eliminate them, you're probably going to see a really good result. If you're malnourished, it's probably the opposite. You're going to see really good result because you're actually, getting a little more in that's easy to absorb without having a huge quantity of food.
Right.
I'll be a bit the contrarian in this
Ooh.
group, and some of you probably expect what I'm going to say.
How stable of you.
I don't think that the adoption of a vegan diet is necessary. And I think sometimes our promotion of it interferes with people making changes that would be significant, very significant. And so our diet does not call for people to be vegan, although I'm not shy about recommending it to people who I think must do it because they have health issues. And I don't talk anybody out of it. I'm vegan. It's a choice that I made. Okay, I didn't have to do it for personal health. I just decided to do it for a variety of reasons. The reason I think this is so important, and I spoke about this last night, is that we have 2 problems in this community. And one is we've got to get people to do this. And I think the fact that a bunch of you are here tonight to listen to a bunch of plant-based doctors talk about this and you're still eating animal foods is indicative of our problem. And we've got to solve it. We've got to stop thinking it's going to go away on its own, or that it's going to solve itself, or whatever. Problems don't usually get better, they get worse. And so we have to market this to people. If we can't get people to do it, we're done before we start. And it is true that
Here's the thing. I'm so glad that they have a panel of people that disagree, because the way that it actually works is there are only going to be a certain level and percentage of people that find her appealing, who find Goldhammer appealing, who find Clement appealing. Some love the extreme of it. Some actually succeed on the extreme of it. Some are overwhelmed by the extreme of it and have to do it to where it's just like she is saying, right? They all speak to a different type of person. So what I find infuriating is when the person who agrees with her thinks she's the only one that's right? Because it's just it's too oversimplified. Like, the reason why, in the vegan community, why a lot of people are like, we need different voices doing different things. Like, we need athletes, we need scientists, we need a bunch of people to represent, because everyone has something different that they connect with.
Right.
Out of all these people, I connect most with Brian Clement and then Goldhammer. Like, to me, they're actually the most interesting. Now, I respect Pam and I think she's right, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh my God,
not all
like,
fired up about
I want to
her.
do what you do,
right.
Pam. Like, this is awesome.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Like, I definitely am more enticed with the words that come out of Clement and Goldhammer's mouth, and just kind of how they preach and what their message is. But even from looking at what Pam was saying here, where she's like, you're not gonna do the diet. I think that's what's so tough about Clement and Goldhammer, is that they offer diets and lifestyles that are really hard to maintain unless the results is being obtained,
Completely, I agree.
So that's why, like, I can actually appreciate Pam here, where she's like, hey, I'm vegan, but at the same time, I also don't just recommend you to be only vegan, because it can be a challenging thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, what she says is great, and I've listened to a lot of content with her on this channel, The Real Truth About Health. She has really good things to say. Personally, though, as an individual, I'm not like drawn to her message as much, but I do learn from her.
Right. It's good.
There's more interest in plant-based eating. But I come from a business background, and one thing I learned in my business background is to differentiate buzz from traction. It's easy to get excited about something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gaining traction in the marketplace. When I worked for a Fortune 500 company, people let me do a lot of things I wanted to do, but sooner or later I had to answer these really tough questions, like, what kind of difference is this making? Do we get more customers? Do they stick around longer? Do they spend more money? Do they refer more people? Because you can't just go on pure excitement and hope that everything else will catch up. So here's my point. When we talk about, and we do dinners and we do a lot of outreach, and I have a very popular YouTube channel, and we are very successful in getting people on board to do this. When we go into employer sites where people are openly hostile when we're there, okay, they didn't invite us in, their employer invited us in. And our job is to get people to volunteer to sign up for our programs. The only thing we ask the employer to do is to guarantee us 3 workshops that employees are required to attend. One on chronic degenerative health, mental health, and musculoskeletal health. Then they can decide what they want to do. And we have a 65% voluntary enrollment in our programs. So the first thing is, you got to get successful at getting them in. And I'm not talking about namby-pamby, ridiculous crap like moderation. Nobody knows what that means. In fact, a very good study was done 3 years ago that showed that moderation, the definition of it is what I want to eat right now of something I really like. Okay? So you have to use...
It's so funny that she said that in this video, because I just actually just watched this video like 3 or 4 days ago. I was having a conversation with the other caregiver who was down in Florida, him and his wife, and I like really I like to get deep in conversation with people, as you can tell, obviously. And I was just saying that I personally think there's a difference between moderation and balance, and I think everyone says like, oh yeah, it's okay in moderation. But like, moderation is what's actually holding you back from getting the results that you want, so I can say, oh yeah, like moderation, I'll just have 2 beers tonight instead of 3 or 4, or I'll only have 2 cookies tonight instead of 3, whatever. But I think, I mean, you could maybe see that everyone has their own definition of moderation and balance, but I just think that like it's such a construed term, and I think it needs to be like let go of, like, oh, everything in moderation. I think we got to stop saying it.
I think
So
in my perceived reality, I think the problem actually lies within the personality traits, which, you know, Dr. Doug Lyle, who those of you familiar with the plant-based doctors, he's with the evolutionary psychologist. You know, he talks big about personality traits, the big five plus intelligence. And here's the thing: when I hear moderation,
Mhm.
I do think it works, but it works for a certain type of person. If you're a completely stable person who's very like organized and calm, and you're able to like withhold yourself from overindulging, I think that moderation can work. Like if you have a piece of cake on the weekend, you know, that's not vegan, like it doesn't fucking matter. Or you have it on
Yeah.
your birthday, right, like McDougal says, and you have Thanksgiving and you have some turkey or something, it's not going to kill you at all. But most people, what people need to realize is the people who are very emotionally up and down, the people who do have that binge cycle and all these types of things that go into dieting or you know, a way of eating or lifestyle, whatever, you need to realize what type you are. And if you're the type that moderation really fucks you because you
Mm.
can't handle it, but you see people, there are people that can handle it, and you're comparing yourself to them, I think that that's a real issue. I think that you need to know yourself. And if you know yourself to be better saying no alcohol ever, because I
Right.
know it's a problem,
Right.
or no processed sugar. I just say that because no seed oils. No, like you need to know yourself. If you can't control yourself, it's better to limit them as much as possible. But if you are someone that can have it and be fine, like you shouldn't be scared to have it sometimes, and because you know you can handle it as an individual.
Right. Nah, that's perfectly said. Definitely a lot better than what I was saying.
Poofus.
Love it. We're actually gonna do an episode on that soon, so stay tuned.
Oh yeah, you beat me to it. I was gonna say stay hungry, but
All right, let's see what Pam has to say.
It's very prescriptive communication, which we do. You can have animal foods 2 to 3 times a week, 3 at the outside, organic or wild caught, no dairy. That's
If you
very
wanna go to
prescriptive.
hell.
Nobody doesn't understand what that means. And if you sort it out calorie-wise, it's about what the Okinawans are eating, it's about what the Papua New Guineans are eating, and the rural Chinese and the Northern Africans. They're not vegans. Again, for the record.
See, I think that's true though. Like I think like those cultures, like they are high carb, high starch, whatever, high fruit, depending on where they are. But they definitely do eat animal products. I think
yeah, I mean, if you read the Blue Zones, they say it's 95% plants,
right.
but it is a little. And I read all the Blue Zones. I love Dan Buettner. I think it's great information. I think it's some of the most important information in the health world that someone could read and absorb. But it's really annoying to me because you'll hear different stuff like, I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I've grown up here, and everyone here eats a lot more meat than they do
Yeah.
rice or whatever. And it's confusing,
Yeah.
not because, oh, I think you should eat so much meat and not rice. Nothing to do with that. But there's all these people who claim all this different stuff. And
Right.
like, I've talked to people who have been to the Blue Zones, and they're like, they eat so much pork. And I'm like, I don't know what to
Really?
think. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Oh
just
my gosh.
when Dan Buettner's staying in these houses, I do think he's reporting correctly, but I think that some people are just deathly scared of fat and they want to make it like all carbs. And I think
Right.
that what you need to do is assess your results. And if your results are good, then keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
But if you're having a little bit of a challenge, like include some more avocados and things like that.
Yeah, that's what's confusing because even a lot of the carnies they'll say like, oh, look at Korea, they have like the highest, like their meat they eat like so much meat over there, and their like cardiovascular rates are so low. So that's what like
Right.
that's what doesn't make sense. It's like what's the truth, and what's actually being reported, right?
Sure.
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like it's funny because there was some lady who's been trying to like get my dad to like report my income, his income, and like she's coming and she's like knocking at our house, like legit. She was here tonight. We didn't answer the door. Like, leave us alone, lady. I don't know why she wants it, but it's stuff like that where it's like stuff isn't getting reported. You know, I think
Yeah.
it's some census stuff, but
Fuck that lady. You know what I did when I got that? I threw it in the trash. Uh, but I wanted to say, like, what's funny to me about all of it is people read the blue zones, and there's 9 things that all these places have in common. And the only thing anyone fucking takes away is the diet. And
Yeah.
arguably,
Yeah, right.
like,
Right.
so much other stuff is so important. Like, most of them are islands, so the
Yeah.
fresh air is just ridiculous. And
That's
if they are
fine,
eating
yeah.
food, it's fresh because
Oxygen.
whether it's from the sea or whether it's from the fucking farms or whatever. Plus, they all spend time with each other. What do we
Yeah.
do? This is what we fucking do.
Yeah.
Like, fucking,
Legit, just
how do I get 300 more followers? Bullshit. Like, they actually are like communicating. They're playing games together. They all
Right.
decompress midday. What does that mean? Naps, having a cup of tea and chatting with somebody, going for a walk. There are hills everywhere. They go walk because it's just part of the way they
That's just
live. They
yeah,
don't do
that's
it like,
that's their
I have
culture.
to walk today. I have to get 45 minutes at 80% heart rate. Like, no, they don't do that stuff. They live an amazing life, right? And instead we look at it and go, how do I make my diet 95% plants?
You're so right.
Scratching my head here if you can't hear it.
No, that's what's like so weird about all this everything, right? Like everyone is so focused on diet when there's just way more to it. Matter of fact, I actually wanted to put a story up, because like, dude, the enzymes, I love them. Like they've just been like, I don't know what it is, like they've just been helping me so much, and I wanted to be like legit. If you get enough sleep, you move your body enough, you hang out with great people, you love your job, you breathe, you get a lot of good breathing in, you take enzymes, you stay hydrated. I was gonna be like, diets, like your diet almost doesn't even matter at that point. Like
that's the thing. It's almost as if we're living in a society where you have to have your diet exactly on point to try to negate all the other bullshit you're doing or not doing. Like, of course you need to eat perfect if you never are relaxed. You're always overworking. You're never moving your body. You're never sleeping because you fucking drink alcohol right before bed, or you have 3 cups of coffee. Like, what do you expect?
Right.
God forbid you stop seeing that person that's so toxic that literally makes your life awful.
It's hard for a lot of people to do. They just can't.
It is very, I mean, I get it. It's so fucking hard. And it's so hard to work a job that you can't stand, but you really don't know what your other options are. And I think that those are like some of the big questions of our time is like, how do we earn money and not like destroy ourselves in the process?
Right. It's unbelievable. And it
and
just
he's like, I already got that figured out.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going with Pam here.
Record, I'm vegan, but I don't think we can justify taking the vegan stance if our goal is to get more people enrolled. You got another problem too, which is compliance. 2 weeks of dietary perfection doesn't lead to health. Decades of dietary excellence leads to health.
Just like you said, AJ.
So I have a client in Columbus, and I can use him as an example, who had a heart attack and had a stent put in long before he ever came to us. He's been compliant on a plant-based diet, eating animal foods once a week for 4 years. Lost 60 pounds, off his cholesterol-lowering meds, off his blood pressure medication.
Wow.
And I'll take my people who eat some animal foods and stick with this for 4 years and put them up against 2 weeks of dietary perfection any day of the week, and my people will win in terms of long-term health. Now again, I am not saying veganism is bad. And Steve is right when he says eating animals is bad for the environment, bad for the animals. It's less bad for the environment and less bad for the animals if we dry up the need for factory farms. And if everybody did what I'm talking about in the United States of America, there would be no demand that would fuel a factory. You couldn't afford to have a factory farm in the United States if everybody dropped back to 2 or 3 servings a week. And we can sell that easier than we can veganism. And I think Steve used the term extremism, and I think that's sometimes how it's perceived. So I'll take the unpopular view, and I don't disagree with the fact that it probably is better if you don't eat any. And I'll tell you some other things that are better. I'm clearly trying to kill myself, and I'll tell you how I'm doing it. I wear acrylic nails. It's probably not good for you. Nobody knows what color my hair is. I don't want to know. Nobody else knows either. I diet. I'm wearing eye makeup. I have wine probably 8 to 10 times a year.
Oh!
I know. I have had cookies, and I'm glad you're sitting down because somebody's definitely.
I didn't know we had
pass out on
sinners
this one.
up here with us.
Yeah, you have no
Dude, he's a
idea.
badass.
I love it.
I've had birthday cake with white flour in it. I know, clearly trying to kill myself. All right. Well, I'm obviously
she just
being
doesn't love
facetious,
herself. She
but
doesn't love
seriously,
herself
people.
enough to take the next step and like plunge in.
That's the
She
thing.
has to like go within and figure this out.
That's the thing is like that's what people actually think though. Like they
I
think
can't
that you
stand
have
it.
to have like the perfect diet, the perfect everything.
See, I'm not even against that. Like, I am that extremist where like, God, I wish I could just have that perfect diet and
Yeah, right.
like I don't know. I'm
I do
drawn to
too.
that, but
I do too.
I'm drawn to that. But to think like if some people don't need to do it. The people who need to do it are the people who hold the other people accountable to their standard when they don't
Right.
even fucking do it anyway.
Right.
Dude, DTM's the most hardcore person I fucking know. And like he was in Arizona and he was biking and he needed some food. He stopped in a shop. They didn't have any fruit. He bought a can of beans, opened it with a knife, ate it.
Yeah.
He's not 100% all the time, but he's the
Right.
most raw foodist like I know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like this perfection mindset, she said it perfectly. I think Harley says it really good as well. He says we need more passionate people. We don't need more perfect people because perfection doesn't exist.
Well said.
We have to talk to people in ways that they will listen. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'll be quiet. So again, coming from a background of business, here's one of the things that I can assure you. If everybody's talking to people and they're not listening, you can't blame it on the people you're talking to. You have to reframe your message. Okay, so when I was a sales trainer, if I taught people to go out to the public with a message that resulted in nobody buying anything, we can't sit around and talk about how stupid everybody is. We got to talk about what is the message that we're giving to people. And you don't have to compromise your principles in order to do this. I don't have to stop being a vegan in order to frame a message that's scientifically correct that gets more people on board. So you don't have to and by the way, if you want to promote a vegan diet because you're a vegan, then just say that. But don't be upset when people say, I don't want to be like you. I didn't start a company called I Want to Be Like Pam. I started a company called Wellness
It probably
Farm
would
Health.
sell a lot more.
Well,
if you...
no. As it turns out, nobody wants to be like Pam. Okay? I mean, people would like to have my energy and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a little bit goofy, you know, and then, you know, so nobody wants to be like me. So I started a company called Wellness Farm Health, and we try to really promote getting people on board to get health. And then some of them actually end up kind of being like me over time, and that's all right. But if we can't get them to listen to us, and we can't get long-term compliance, and that's what everybody will tell you the problem is. How many people, I'm going to ask the audience a question, how many of you are advising other people about your health? Keep your hands up if you're having trouble talking to people and getting them to do it or staying on it. A lot of the hands stay up. Okay? So that's my point.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that there's another.
I think she did a fantastic job there. And that's the thing is I actually wish more doctors, even plant-based doctors, were kind of like that. But at the same time, like they're also selling programs, they're selling master classes, they're selling all their stuff. Their foundation is based on like only plants. McDougall, it's like starch, right? Durian Rider, fucking sugar. Clement,
sugar.
Clement, let's see, wheatgrass juice and like
Dude,
low
that
calorie.
that was the best wheatgrass juice I ever had.
I actually would love to try that.
It tastes like matcha tea or something. Like it was really thick.
I've never had matcha. Dude, even what's his name? Dr. B, the gut dude, Dr. Bolsowitz or whatever on IG. He's like all for coffee. He's like it has like antioxidants and shit and and all this stuff. Like it's just crazy like seeing like what some people promote.
Yeah, coffee's a big one. We'll eventually do one on
for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I think her message right there, in my opinion, is like maybe like one of the best messages I've heard from a doctor regarding food, or a plant-based doctor regarding like food, diet, lifestyle. Like I actually wonder if Clapper, you know, has patients who need meat or need animal products. Even like Mike and Gil, when they offer like diet plans to people and like tell them like, hey, like what they should be eating, they even do say like some people eat 4 to 6 ounces of steak or chicken or whatever a couple times a week, right? And they're still getting great results. So, um, yeah, I can just appreciate her message, you know?
Yeah. No, long-term success is the name of the game. I think that what needs to be looked at is how people are feeling, how people are looking, how people are performing, and then also what they're consuming, right? We only, especially in, I would say, focused in the plant-based world, we're focused on what everyone's eating. Like, oh, look how clean they ate. Look how, many calories they were able to eat. Look how low fat they are, blah, blah, blah. But they could look awful or they could feel awful, but they still get praise for doing it, which I
Right.
think has kind of created some of that, disordered eating in a way,
That's what I don't
because
get.
I mean, people want to succeed when they're on plants. You want to feel good, you want to succeed,
Of course.
and you might be really, really conscientious and putting in all the hard work and doing all the steps and blah blah blah, but you still aren't feeling right or you're not looking right, and that needs to be looked at too. Because if you did remove the ethics out of there and the environmental stuff, would you keep doing it in terms of, or would you change it up or at least experiment and try it? I remember Drew Morg did a podcast, and he was, he's a big carnivore guy or whatever, and he was saying like, I wish that you guys who are vegan and who are hardcore vegan could just try it for a week and just see if it was an improvement for you, and you could always go back, but
Right.
because of those ethical reasons, that option isn't there, right? And then they aren't able to tell you and find out, which is unfortunate. And at the same time, I get it. Like I respect people that do stay on the course and don't kind of go back and forth. But at the same time, there are individuals that I think would greatly benefit from being able to do that. But of course, that is a very tricky thing.
I mean, if I'm being straight up, that's kind of like where I am. I mean, I'm definitely on board with like more of the ethical train, and even talking with Mike about honey, and he like really convinced me to eat honey. And I can't even get myself to go to like a local farm and buy honey. Like I can't even get myself to do it, so, but I actually would, it would be interesting to see like what would happen to my body if I would just even try, even if it was like eggs, like do it like once a week, right? Or whatever. And just see what would happen. But and that's the thing, is that we can't have this closed-minded mindset, and we do. And that's what I think a lot of vegans who are on YouTube, they promote, and they just I don't know, it's just kind of annoying to me to some extent.
Well,
but I guess that's just their channel, and that's how they get their subscribers and whatnot. So
sure. I mean, let's talk about families, because there are families who are plant-based or vegan who are really healthy. I think we can all attest to that, admit to that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's carnivore people that think there's zero healthy vegans in the world, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's like when vegans say, there's zero people who have animal products that are healthy. Like it's just both two sides of the extreme. The truth is somewhere in the middle. So we can attest to that. There are families who are healthy, but where I get scared and where I get worried, and I expressed this on the podcast, I think when Mike was on, Everyday Detox, when he was on, and it's like, when you see children who the parents are vegan and they're making the kids be vegan, and the kids are clearly underweight, they're clearly like thin hair, dark circles, and they're eating enough calories. I don't want to just hear it's a calorie thing, because I don't. I think it's a meeting the need type thing. And that's where it's scary. And I think that as vegans and as ethical people, we need to own up to the fact that in these young people, even you have these teens who are on YouTube, right? And they're vegans, and they're getting all these this big following.
yeah, huge.
That's creating disordered eating just in and of itself, because unless they're completely thriving, they're trying to push that message as well. And they're too immature to realize like kind of the way that they're walking down this road, especially if negative consequences are coming up. And we need to be able to like have a conversation with those people so that they don't feel ashamed. But again, you built this whole platform up right around it, and it's like you kind of screw yourself, which is unfortunate.
Right. Like I think we take someone like Brian Turner. I mean, I think he's like a beautiful example of someone who actually has unbelievable results. I mean, like he's jacked. You know Brian Turner, right?
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I'll look him up.
Yeah, he's like this jacked vegan dude, and he looks like he had all his like acne issues, and then pretty much like got rid of all the animal products, and his acne went away, and now he's like a vegan bodybuilder, and it's pretty cool like seeing what he says, and it's just awesome because even his diet, he doesn't eat like this perfect, fruitarian raw vegan diet, not even close to that. He eats like hella beans, like
Okay, yeah, I've
tortilla
seen him
wrap,
before.
yeah, like tortilla
He's
wraps
fucking
and
huge.
tofu. He's gigantic. He's ripped, dude. And that's why, like, I don't get like some of these perspectives that people have out there where it's like you have to eat fruit to like have the clearest skin and this and that. Where I just put a video on my story tonight of some dude who's eating like candy after candy and like this like nasty shit, and he does like ASMR eating, and I'm like thinking, how does this dude even have like his skin so clear, like he has like gray teeth and all this stuff, yet he's eating the nastiest shit ever. It's just it doesn't it's so confusing sometimes.
Sure.
But yeah,
People are sensitive to different stuff too. Like some person might eat a candy bar and they fall apart. Other people, it's like they don't notice really much difference.
right.
But we've trained ourselves to follow a protocol, and at first it might be doing us, really well. But then we lose that intuition of like reading how we feel and waiting. People wait and wait and wait to be better, but they're going downhill, and that's really obviously a bad thing.
Exactly. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. We're just gonna do the one on Pam today, and maybe get back to Goldhammer at a different date and time, because Goldhammer does have some good words there. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed that. We're gonna be doing more of these reaction videos. I actually love doing the reaction videos, and I think it offers a different perspective to hungry people. And I feel like it actually can help get our thoughts out there better and more clearly of what we're trying to promote with what we're saying here. So AJ, you killed it, dude. It was great chatting it up and hearing what you had to say. So
Yeah, we did great.
it was definitely a motherfucking blast, boy. Dude, we'll have to do some Dirty Rider videos next.
Uh-oh. Daddy Dirty Rider.
Love it. But anyways, guys, we're gonna peace out here. Stay up, be great. Always keep it 100.
And stay hungry.